Good afternoon. This is Toni Morrison from the Connect team at Corpus Christi Catholic Church in Lexington, South Carolina, and this is a Connect moment. As we look more and more to the fruits of the Holy Spirit, today we're going to talk about one that you may not be as familiar with. It is continency. Continency, used as a noun, is the exercise of self-constraint in sexual matters, a type of self-denial or self-discipline. In medical terms, it is the control of bodily fluids or bodily functions. And as a synonym, continence is self-control, or the ability to have moderation and control over desires. So, as I was looking and praying about this, two different Bible stories came to mind. I thought about in Genesis about Adam and Eve and the apple. You know, they had everything they wanted, everything they could possibly desire, but God asked them not to eat the apple. Well, out and about, Eve runs into the snake. She and the snake have a conversation about the apple. It happens again. So she talks to Adam about it. Her and Adam are having conversations about it. They're both thinking about it, conversing in their heads about it. And finally, what happens? One day, she becomes more and more comfortable with the idea, and Eve eats the apple. You see, isn't that what happens with things that we know are wrong? It's presented to us, and if we're not strong enough, we can become more and more comfortable. If we don't get away from those things that are tempting us, we become more and more comfortable until we end up doing the one thing that we know we're not supposed to do. The other story that I thought about was the woman at the well. Now, I don't want to get into why she did the things she did or what even her sins were, okay? But other women shunned her. They didn't like the lifestyle that she led. It was not accepted, so she wasn't allowed to be around them. She had to do her work on her own. The men didn't want to be around her for fear of what other people might think, that maybe they were associated with the same type of behavior, or what their wives might think, and the trouble that they'd be in with them. So why was it any surprise to her, that Jesus was talking to her, him a Jew, her a non-Jew, the fact that nobody else would talk to her, and that he was a man talking to a woman out by themselves? Because she, even with all she'd done, knew that that was not acceptable. Now let's take it back to our time, okay? Back in the 60s when I came along, by then people had figured out that sex sells. So be it a stick of margarine or a pickup truck, commercialism came along, and along next to that was a woman scantily or very risquely dressed, or a man with broad muscles and shoulders and a deep voice that had absolutely nothing to do with either a pickup truck or a stick of margarine. You didn't think about them at all. You thought about the person. And then when you go in the store and see that stick of margarine, there you were buying it, because it made you think about the man. And how many men have bought a pickup truck? That red one, because what they thought of and associated with was the woman laying across the tailgate. It has been a part of society for so long that the woman at the well would be totally accepted as someone quite normal today. And don't we try to teach our children to do better? Don't we try to teach our children to disassociate from things like this, to stay away from that crowd so that they're not pulled in, they're not drawn in, but yet we allow ourselves to be? Men can't figure out why women like the Hallmark Channel. Well, it has nothing to do with anything except for the fact that it's a release from all the other shows that has a sexual innuendo every 5 seconds. Most Hallmark movies probably end with one kiss, and that's it. Other than that, it's usually a wholesome message. It's very freeing. I've even gotten where I like to watch EWTN or some of the other Catholic channels to watch the movies on the lives of the saints. Because it's easier for me now. Because isn't that the idea? That we're supposed to be becoming more and more Christ-centered. That we're supposed to be getting ready to go home, to go to eternity. And we can't do that if we're following the crowd. If we're following in to things that we know better about. How are we presenting life to our children? Are we telling dirty jokes with our friends while our kids are sitting in the other room and can hear us? How are we dressing? Who are we hanging out with? What are we watching on TV? If you have to send your kids to bed because what's coming on TV is not appropriate for them, it's probably not appropriate for us either. You know, the fruits of the Holy Spirit are what comes from having Him fill our lives. It's that goodness. And that goodness will repel anything that's evil if we let it. Thank you for joining me today. I hope to see you again soon. Please continue to pray for me. I am praying for each and every one of you. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye now.